Hey gang, welcome back to another movement remix with Third Space. Today we are going to work on a cool little kind of like lower body movement pattern. Before we get started in that, we're just going to do a little bit of a warm up and then we'll introduce today's new movement for you. So we're going to get started down on the ground. We're just going to be into a tabletop position. From here, we are going to work a little bit into the wrists and the shoulders. So all I'm going to do right now is just place the hands right underneath the shoulders and keeping the elbows from bending. We're just going to do some circles with the shoulders over the fingers. As I do this, I'm just going to make sure that the heel of the palms stay down on the ground, so I'm not leaning so far forward that the palms are lifting up. And then we'll just reverse directions. From here, we're just going to center our weight back into both hands. From here, we're going to get just into our palm raises. So pressing that row of knuckles into the floor to try to raise both palms at the same time. We'll see if we can make both hands come up at the same time. Control them both back down. Again, the elbows stay locked out so they're not bending. And the shoulders stay right over top of the hands. Let's do a couple more here. And then we'll just go ahead and shake out those wrists a little bit. We're going to get into those shoulders. For now, I'm just going to take the arms straight out in front. And we're going to think about sliding the hands forward, so reaching for the far wall. Just letting those shoulder blades kind of just glide forward. We're going to pick the shoulder blades up towards the ears and then retract, pulling the shoulder blades back and then sliding them down away from the ears. So again, reaching forward, shrugging up, pulling and retracting back, and then sliding them back down. Forward, up, back, down. Let's just smooth that out into some nice little scap circles. We can try the opposite direction. And then from here, we're going to go back into our tabletop position. And we're just going to load that exact same movement pattern. So we're just going to find that nice little circular scap motion. Again, since it's coming from the shoulders, we'll try to keep the arms from bending. So the elbows stay straight, we're not letting them bend. If you get one direction going, see if you can reverse opposite way. And then again, we'll just go ahead, reset for a second, just shake everything out. We're going to come back into that tabletop, and now we're just going to get into that spine a little bit. So making sure that we're starting with those knees right underneath the hips, hands underneath the shoulders again, and then we're going to tuck that tailbone under, and we're going to just start to round that spine up towards the ceiling. Nice and slow. And we'll reverse that motion. So this time we're extending, starting from the top, working our way down as we get into our next rep. Again, starting with that tailbone, tucking it underneath. We're going to roll up, one little vertebrae at a time. And then it's going to be the reverse, starting at the top as we extend, working our way back down. We'll do one more like that. See if we can really tuck that pelvis underneath before we start working our way up. If you find a little segment of this movement a little bit tougher, maybe take a couple extra seconds there. See if you can kind of work it out. Start to kind of familiarize yourself with that area and start to build some awareness and some control around it. So next up is from that same position, we're just going to work into our hips a little bit. We're going to do some hip carves or some controlled articular rotations. It's again going to look like making that big circle again. Movement's similar. What we're going to do here is we're going to drive one knee up towards the chest, and then we're just going to work into our little fire hydrant move. So we're going to rotate the hip, open up the leg. From here, I'm going to internally rotate, and then we're going to extend. From this position here, we'll just watch that those ribs stay in. I'm not trying to reach that foot for the sky and starting to get into my back. I want to try to keep that under control. We're just going to squeeze that glute as we come back through for another rep. There's going to be in, and rotate out, and back. Let's do 2 more on this side. So again, just like we're doing with the spine, we might have a couple of these areas in this movement. It's a little bit more challenging. That means I'm just going to take my time through that movement and really try to build some awareness and control through the entire thing. So we're setting up on the opposite side. 2. A little bit of cramping, that's all right. 3. And last one. 4. Perfect. We're going to reset. We've been spending a lot of time down in that tabletop. So now what I'm going to do is just take a nice tall seated position. So anything where I'm not slouched down. If I need to set a cushion underneath my butt, you can totally go ahead and do that. From here, we're just going to take that right leg. I'm going to take my right arm. We're just going to hook it behind the thigh. I'm going to take that hand. I'm just going to put it on top of my opposite forearm. That hand, we're just going to cap the shin and cap above the knee as well. But we just want to kind of lock everything in place here. Again, sitting up nice and tall, we're just going to take that foot and we're going to perform just a nice little ankle circle here. So again, I'm taking my time through it, making sure I find those little corners that are a little bit tougher to control. We'll reverse directions. Might notice some shaking. And we'll relax. We'll set ourselves up for the opposite side. So again, it's just going to be the same arm that comes underneath that thigh. As I come up into this position, I'm going to take that hand, cap the opposite forearm, and I can cap that shin just to lock into the place. From here, I'm going to try to sit up nice and tall, and then just tracing that big circle. Getting a couple little snaps and pops in there, and we'll reverse direction. So from here, we're going to get into these hips a little bit more. If I have a mat, what I'm going to do is just think about kind of taking a frog position, which is having the legs at a 90 and just taking those knees out to the side as much as is comfortable right now. So I have that 90-degree angle with the legs. From here, I can either keep myself propped up. If it's comfortable, I can go onto those forearms. For now, I'm just going to go up onto those hands. We're going to take that left leg and we're just going to shoot it out to the side. So I still have this 90 with the right underneath. Left leg is straight, and from here, we're just going to spend a little bit of time into this position. So this might be enough at the moment, right here. But if I can, what I'm going to do is I'm going to think going through a series of kind of contract and relax. So when I contract, I'm going to just slightly drive the hips backwards. And as I do that, I'm going to pull my foot and the knee and the shin in towards the middle. I'm going to hold that for a second, and I can just back off and relax. So I'm just pulsing through this little contract, relax cycle. Pushing the hips back. I'm not driving as hard as I can. Just think, get those hips in line with the knee and the foot. Squeezing everything in the center, creating a little bit of tension. Good. So in the next one, we're going to hold this contraction. So I'm pulling everything into the center. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly, I'm going to draw that left leg back in, so I get that 90-degree position again. And we're just going to go to the opposite side. So we're just going to straighten out that right leg, get ourselves set up. Once I'm in position, I'm going to, again, rock the hips back, pull the knee and the foot in towards the center. It's kind of like that Thigh Master from the 80s. Well, Suzanne Summers, that's what it was. Suzanne Summers, well, Thigh Master. Squeeze and relax. Couple more reps. We're going to do the exact same thing on this side. So this one, we're going to rock those hips back. I'm pulling and I'm going to hold, squeeze. 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, reset. And then let's just slowly bring those knees back. So next little sequence, again, same thing. We're going to get used to being nice and low, keeping some tension as we kind of transition into a couple different positions. So this time we're going to start from standing, but I'm going to take that nice wide stance again. We're going to get into our Cossack squat. So I'm going to shift myself over onto one side. I'm going to go over to my right. As I do that, I still want to think about, just like in a squat position, that knee tracking over the toes and also not collapsing through my back and through my chest. So I want to be able to keep my spine neutral through this position. So as I go down, I'm shifting my weight. The opposite leg, I'm going to turn those toes up towards the sky. So I should be able to stay in this position fairly comfortably. And then from here, we're going to keep some tension as I shift myself over to the opposite side. So here, I'm going to turn those toes up. So wherever's comfortable for now, if I can be kind of down here, nice and low, I can stay down here. If I find those heels are popping up, I can't keep the traction, or it's just a little bit too intense, for now, I just stay up here. So wherever you need to be. Now what we're going to do is, as I shift over, I'm going to turn towards my bent knee, and we're just going to get into a nice little lunge here. So as I do this lunge, I'm going to actively press through that back heel to try to straighten that out. I'm going to make sure that that knee doesn't collapse inside. I'm going to rotate, pivot back forward to get back into my Cossack. We're going to do our transition again, nice and low. So I'm going to hit my Cossack, rotate into my lunge. Back into my Cossack, transition. Last one. Back into my Cossack, and we'll come on up. So hopefully those hips feel pretty awake right now. The legs are warmed up, feel kind of comfortable, familiar with being nice and low to the ground. So for our next couple of movements, I'm just going to give a little bit more space here. And we're going to use that lunging, that side to side technique to kind of move across the floor. So what I'm going to do is, again, start at a level that's comfortable. If you're not really used to that big step out right now, just start nice and high, but the steps are going to be the same. If I'm going over to my left, I'm just going to step with my left leg out. So here I'm going to step over to my left, and I kind of think that puts me into a nice little low squat position. From here, I'm going to shift myself over. So I've shifted into the opposite side. And now I'm going to take that trailing leg and I'm going to take it behind my front leg, like so. So now it feels kind of weird. It feels like I'm all kind of twisted up. And we're actually going to use that. As I step through, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to unwind, twist, and pivot, and I should be facing the opposite direction. So again, I'm going to keep kind of a nice little low squat position. We're going to step out to the side that we're traveling, shift ourselves over. That straight leg is going to step behind. Now notice from this position that that back knee ends up behind the front knee. So I want to step fairly deep. That loads me up, so I'm able to rotate. So again, start from that nice little low squat. I'm going to step out, shift, step behind, knees behind the front, and I can turn around. Whoop, here, and rotate. If I need a little bit of help, I can use my arms to kind of help start that rotation as well. So at this time, I'm starting out. As I step out, I'm going to reach out to the same direction, keep the arms out. Here, now I'm going to initiate by turning the arms. So it just helps initiate that rotation. So again, I'm here, step out to the side, arms are still here, and then it just helps turn me around to my next position. We're going to head back this way. Boom. I can take the arms out, step behind, spin out. Notice I'm landing in that squat position. So I'm not here, super narrow. I should have that nice wide stance still. So let's take a little bit of a break from that, because you can definitely feel that they start to add up on the legs a little bit. The next movement we're going to do is just working back into that low lizard crawl. So we're playing off of just that lunge position again. When I'm in this lunge position, what I'm going to think about doing is planting the hand across from my foot, down on the ground, and we're going to add a little bit of a push-up. So I'm going to think about taking this ear down towards the ground, driving myself back up. I'm going to take the opposite hand. It's going to windmill over top. As I step, now the opposite foot across. And then again, I'm going to try to take that ear down towards the ground. Reaching over. And we'll do one more pass going back. So again, lunge, it's the opposite hand that plants, and I'm always turning towards the knee that's up. So again, that's a nice little variation of our lizard crawl. So work wherever you are. You're still building that strength, being able to do that little press. You don't have to take it. Just think that's the direction we're going though. That ear, so I can rotate, and think about lowering that ear down towards the ground. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use that little step behind and that spin motion to get us started into our lizard crawl. So it's going to look like this. We're back into our low squat. I'm going to reach, shift, step behind. We're going to spin. As I spin, I'm going to lower myself down into that lizard crawl. From here, back up, step, cross behind, unwind, into that lizard curl. So I can work that, I can really break it down. Once I get kind of familiar with it, I can use a little bit more momentum to just kind of try to smooth it out a little bit. So I'm nice and low, step, boom, right into it. I can stay nice and low as I get into that crawl as well. So it's a fun little way to kind of connect two movements, but I start to make a little bit of a flow. So hopefully I have a little bit more room. I'll try going this way and see if it works. So again, we're just starting off nice and low. I'm gonna reach across, shift, step behind, boom, carry that momentum through, down nice and low here. If I need to, I can assist myself to try to build that strength as well. Hand comes through, boom, or here. So a fun little combo to build off of. Again, it's only 2 movements. You can have a whole bunch of variations. Have fun with this. See if it's something you can start to throw into some of the previous movements that we've done. It also lends itself fairly well into any of our lateral transitions that we were doing before. So that little monkey crawl, I can start to mix and match some of those. So give it a shot. Let us know how it goes, and we will see you next week for another movement remix here at Third Space.